A group of Democratic lawmakers have sent President Donald Trump a strongly worded letter going after him for not lowering grocery prices, as if, that was something that he was going to do. Now, the letter addressed to Trump accused the president of backtracking on one of his central campaign promises to lower grocery prices. Quote, during your campaign, you repeatedly promised you would lower food prices immediately if elected president. But during your first week of office, you've instead focused on mass deportations and pardoning January 6 attackers. Your sole action on costs was an executive order that contained only the barest mention of food prices and not a single specific policy to reduce them. So here's the thing. Donald Trump, when he talked about lowering the price of food, he was lying. We all know that. We all knew that. The president does not control food prices. The president does not control gas prices. There is no lever or button on the president's desk, all right, that Biden was refusing to push to lower food prices, okay? That's not a thing, all right? As George W. Bush had put it, I wish I had a magic wand, low gas. Well, he doesn't have one. The president doesn't have that. There are things that certain policies that he may be able to do in some circumstances or direct some agencies to look into certain things, but the president cannot unilaterally control gas or food, right? Now, who does? Who does control the food prices? Well, that would be the corporations who are incidentally, and I'm sure this is not related at all, they're posting record profits. Gee, I wonder if there's any correlation there. Now, of course, Democratic lawmakers did note in their letter that the companies, and this is 100% correct, they often exploit crises like pandemics and avian flu outbreaks as an opportunity to raise prices beyond what is needed to cover rising costs. In the case of the inflation or greedflation, it's actually over about 50%. So understand that they raise prices even more, 50% more than they needed to cover their costs. So they're skimming a lot off the, not a little off the top, a lot off the top. Now, that said, the question is, what do Democrats really do about it? Let's be honest, okay? Not a whole lot, all right? With the exception of Bernie Sanders. And by the way, I'm not saying the Democrats didn't slow inflation. Oh, yeah, they did. Absolutely. And you can point a lot of, well, inflation actually slowed down a little bit here. Yeah, I know, but things still got more expensive. And that was the problem. Okay, prices went up and they never went down. They just went up at a slower rate. Now, that said, people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, a few others were actually saying, hey, wait a minute, a lot of this is greedflation. A lot of these are the companies, that are raising the prices. We need to do something. We need to go after the corporate greed. But then you had a lot of other Democrats that were like, hey, why don't you shut up about inflation, okay? We have record job numbers. The economy is awesome. It's amazing. The stock market is great. What are you complaining? Do you want Trump to win? Well, that's exactly what happened. What the American people wanted is for people in power to do something about it, and they didn't, okay? And so Trump ended up winning because there were a lot of people that were like, well, Trump says he's going to do something about it. And then they voted for him. And of course, Donald Trump, he can't do anything about it. No, of course not. And so, look, he lied about it, obviously. Now, look, the Labor Department, according to the data from the Labor Department, the cost of groceries rose 1.8% from December of 2023 to December of 2024. Okay, and eggs saw their biggest price jump, increasing 36.8% during the same time, thanks in large part, of course, to the bird flu epidemic, right? And so, yeah, that's a big problem. It's a big reason that eggs are much more expensive than they were before. It doesn't have anything to do with the president's policies, okay? Again, Biden couldn't have done anything about that, and certainly couldn't have done anything without members of Congress, right? But the thing that I want to talk about is the messaging, because the messaging obviously matters. Trump just sold the entire country a bill of goods that he had no intention of actually following up on. No intention of actually doing anything. In fact, later on, he's like, oh, you know what? I did say that I was going to lower groceries. Turns out that's really hard, and it probably won't happen. Oh, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. As soon as you win, then you're like, yeah, I was lying about that. But again, the messaging, right? Democrats, the big problem with the Democratic Party in this election is they couldn't admit that there was a big problem. All right. Why? Well, it would hurt Biden. And then later on, well, it would hurt Kamala. And it also might make our donors mad because our donors are the ones that are making tons and tons of bank right now. Well, what happened? Well, you managed to please the donors, but the voters weren't very happy. And so they threw the Democrats out. Now, Elizabeth Warren, to her credit, she introduced a bill last year that would make it illegal to sell services or goods at a grossly excessive price. Now, what happened to that? Not sat in Congress. Now, of course, you can blame Republicans for that, right? As Republicans had the House, and so, it is up to them to introduce or legislation to then be voted on. They set the agenda, so to speak. But again, it would never pass a Republican House. But nobody knows that. Nobody knows how government works. And why is that? Well, look, it's because civics is one of the things that's not really taught very well in classes, civics. But another reason is because Democrats are not aggressive when it comes to their messaging. And they refuse to appear on anything but legacy media. Nobody trusts legacy media anymore. Those are the people that are telling you, actually, everything's fine, everything's dandy. The economy is fantastic for us rich people on, legacy media. Oh, normal people, I don't know. I've never talked to one. So, look, that's also why the legacy media is why nobody knows that Elizabeth Warren actually sent a letter back in May to then President Joe Biden, right? Begging his administration, please lower food costs through, I don't know, whatever measure that you can do. Better federal enforcement of price manipulation, for example, right? Maybe you could do that. And look, the FTC under Lena Khan was attempting to do something, but there's only so much you can do. And so messaging, again, it matters so much. Joe Biden was out there claiming that, I would win a re-election against Donald Trump. Oh, yes. And that's despite being underwater in the polls, while also, punishing students who protested against the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. That was the thing that he was worried about the most, defending Netanyahu, where he should have been on that campaign trail when he was there, okay, talking about how it's Republicans and their donors that are making your food more expensive. If you give us a majority, maybe we can do something about it. But we didn't get that messaging. And Kamala Harris had some messaging on it at first, and then started talking about freedom, okay, and how Trump bad. We know Trump bad. We can see it. But what are you going to do? Are you going to help with not just slowing inflation, but maybe, I don't know, making it so that grocery prices actually do come back down to that level? Or at least, if you can't make the grocery prices go down, make the incomes go up. But not a whole lot about that. Now, look, I wasn't worried about food prices as much. And of course, obviously, Donald Trump is not either. But now in the statements to NBC News, Warren and Jim McGovern, another signatory to this letter, is about 20 Democrats, they went after Trump for how he spent his first week in office, which was, I agree, was terrible. Okay. Quote, if Donald Trump is serious about working to lower grocery prices, which he is not, he should buckle down, pick up these tools to lower egg prices and deliver on his promises, Warren said. McGovern added, Trump hasn't done a damn thing to lower food prices or help the hardworking people struggling to put food on the table. We are ready to work with him to actually deliver results, not just empty rhetoric. So here's the thing that frustrates me about this. the shaming won't work. You cannot shame the shameless. Okay? Donald Trump is shameless. He lies as easily as he breathes. So I don't think this letter will do much. All right? And not only that, but telling him, oh, we can't wait to work with you. That's going to do absolutely nothing. All right? He's not going to take on the corporation. Not unless they're woke. Okay? And you see all the corporations that have pulled back on their DEI already. Here's the thing. The Democrats are fighting Trump as if he is some sort of normal politician. They still have not learned that that does not work. You do have to be strong. You do have to be combative. You have to be populist, right? One of the reasons that Joe Biden actually was able to win in 2020 against Donald Trump was he took elements of progressive populism from Bernie Sanders and ran on those. Now, it wasn't like a super progressive campaign, but there were good elements of populism. And of course, at the time, Donald Trump had gotten us into a massive hole thanks to COVID, right? And so those two things, that's why Joe Biden won, all right? But we didn't have that this time. Things were going, again, you ask the Democrats, things were going fantastic. I don't understand. Well, they were going fantastic for some people, but not for the majority. And that was one of the problems. You're disconnected with average people, okay? And your messaging was way off, okay? Not strong enough. I mean, look, when it comes to the messaging, when it comes to throwing rhetorical punches, one of the things that frustrated me so much that they stopped doing during this election was they stopped calling Republicans weird. And they did this whole, I want to work with Republicans. We need a strong Republican Party. You know, we're going to work with them to fight against Donald Trump and ensure freedom. No. Calling them weird, that actually worked. Because people were like, you know what? Turns out these people are weird. Combine that with an actual populist, progressive economic message of we're going to help you. We're going to, we're going to start getting, taking on the companies that are screwing you over. We're going to raise your wages. We're going to do all these things to help you, okay? To help you be able to afford groceries. It's the economic message. But they didn't really do that, and they weren't effective at the avenues that they were doing that. They were still hoping to pick up Republican moderates. For every working class blue collar person that we lose in Pennsylvania, we'll pick up 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs. That's Chuck Schumer's plan, and it backfired horribly. And as far as this letter, he's not going to look at it. No, he's going to crumple it up and throw it away. He has no respect for you at all. And neither does the American people right now. Democrats are at the lowest approval rating that they've been at since 1992. I think 33%. Okay? You got to take the fight to the people. Okay? You got to get the message out to the average voter and stop just, you got to get outside of the mainstream media bubble. All right? And actually start going on independent media and telling the voters, we have an economic populist message. We're gonna help you. Okay? And right now, unfortunately, the Democratic Party has, in recent times, been most successful at actually shutting down their progressive messaging. That has to change. That has to change, especially if we want to actually have some wins and elect a Congress that can take on Donald Trump and the Republicans in 2026. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.